concert, and I know you take the risk of your life to come over here. So we have to treat you well, you know? And everybody can eat twice of the food because there's a 50% don't show. So I will turn the microphone to Jesse, and he is the person who organized the Boroma, and he especially flew to Kansas City. Amazing, under this weather. Yeah, and we are so lucky that you are here because you're smart. Thank you.
Yes, it's very rewarding to see a room full of people as crazy as we are to do this tonight, so thank you for being here. Just wanted to talk very briefly about NAPA, which is the Mid-America Performing Arts Alliance. It's a nonprofit that Tatiana and I started. We're in, I guess, halfway through our 4th year in existence, and the main point of the nonprofit is to enrich community. We have a pretty big outreach program. We're offering music classes up at Operation Breakthrough. Do you know anything about that program? Really beautiful center for underprivileged kids, and they do a really great job, and we've just started partnering with them. We have some classes that we offer in Douglas County as well, in Lawrence, trying to get those kids back into music, get the wheels turning a little earlier and a little smarter. So this is better. This part of our nonprofit is the concert series. So we essentially about once a month bring an artist in, someone at the level of Valentin, who has been gracious enough to come, and they typically work with students, grace us with their performance, and just have a working relationship. This is the second time Valentin has been here, and Dr. Tessman as well, her second time here. So we like to create relationships and have people back, and hopefully it creates excitement, and you get to know the artist better that way as well. So this is our January offering. So obviously, note to self, January is going to be bad in Lawrence, in Kansas and Missouri, but here we are. So the last thing I will tell you is we're just so incredibly grateful for Benny and Edith and having us here this evening again. Obviously, they do so much for our community and specifically for us too. So, big thank you to them, and again, thank you for being here and braving the weather. I'll play a little bit in the second half, and I'll talk a little bit more. But at this point, I would like to introduce the incredible Valentin Kovalev and Tatiana Tessman.
I just know one. Let's see. Oh, it works. Amazing. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming here. Is it okay if I speak using the microphone? Yeah? Okay. Because I like to use very soft voice. As low as I can get. So, thank you so much for coming here on this very snowy day. I should mention that I'm from. Let's try without that. Yeah. Okay. You know, both Tatiana and I were actually from Siberia. So we were born in snow. You know? So for us, the snow. It feels like home, right?
It's like a Common Tuesday, right?
Or Monday.
Or Monday,
Right here. Yeah. So anyways, I'm very happy to be back to Kansas. It's always a pleasure to play with such an amazing musician as Tatiana. And you'll hear so many wonderful pieces where I'm just accompanying the piano part most of the time, especially for the Rhapsody in Blue later in this program, where Tatiana will be playing basically the solo piano part plus the orchestra.
Does it have a door seal yet?
I will try to not to overshine. So the first piece that we just performed for you, it was written by Claude Debussy. Now it's a piece that not so many people know, but it was written for saxophone. It was actually a very passionate woman from Boston who commissioned the piece to Claude Debussy. Now she was living in the time when there were not so much repertoire for the instrument, and so one of her goals in life was to commission lots of pieces. So she was trying to commission as many pieces, especially from European composers, because they were more familiar with the saxophone. Now it took Claude Debussy about 11 years to write the piece, because over the correspondence he honestly told her that he didn't know what to write for the saxophone, because at the time it existed for a few years. So nobody really knew about the capacity, what can saxophone play. So I'm very, very fortunate to have this work, and it's one of the gems in our repertoire as saxophonists. Now moving on to our next piece. Now this time it wasn't written for saxophone, it was written actually for both for clarinet or for the cello, and it was written by Robert Schumann. Now these are three very, very interesting fantasy pieces. They're interesting in a way because they reflect our day-to-day life. You know, how all of us have swings of mood, especially for my daughter who is 2 years old. We're experiencing that and learning how to play this piece appropriately. You know, every second is different. So that's how the Robert Schumann was
I think you are more attracted by a microphone.
Now we'll change the batteries here.
Oh yeah, just change.
Yeah. So, yeah, hope you enjoy. I'll speak more for the next cases. Will not waste the batteries.
Yes. Okay.
That was true, man.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Okay, so I prepared I prepared two saxophones with me tonight. So one that you just heard is new batteries. Would it be?
I don't know.
So you can hold it.
It's fine if you don't need to use it. Don't grab the bottom.
Don't grab the button. Only upper part?
No, the lower part.
So, this is also known as the saxophone. And, you know, as some people might think, especially in this household, that it might look like a clarinet. Maybe a golden clarinet.
Is that the same as the Kenny G? Or no?
It's Kenny G saxophone. I stole it from him. He has nothing to play.
Oh, you play better, much better than Kenny G. No?
Can we record that statement on the camera right now? Now, I always like to enjoy different styles and different genres and different periods of music. Now, the next composer is actually Canadian, French-Canadian, and his name is Denis Bédard, and he wrote this beautiful fantasy for soprano saxophone and piano. You know, I met my wife at the Paris Conservatory, and both of us were auditioning for the exam, and they had only 2 places available, and it happened to be me and her. So it was very easy for me to meet her, to approach her. She had no other candidates. But the culmination of our relationship was about 2.5 years ago with the birth of our first daughter. Now we're expecting the second one, actually. And you know, once you start to have children, you start to experience something that you never experienced before.
Yeah, that's
Well,
for sure.
for sure. I have a
Sleepless nights.
sleepless night. But besides the sleepless nights, you start to experience
Lots of love.
lots of love. And most importantly, you start to care about somebody more than you care about yourself.
Mic drop.
I
Have a
still
tissue
have
box here.
tissue bags. And by the way, we didn't plan this, but Jesse's and Tatiana's girls is Sophia, and
Same as-
mine is Sophie. It's a lot different.
Yeah, so different.
We should argue about it. But anyways, with the start of having the children, you start to experience something that you never experienced before. And I think that's what the next composition is all about. It's very playful, right? And then this middle section just always tears my heart. So hope you enjoy this sentiment through the music.
Thank you.
We'll give a little break for Tatiana. Now, you know how composers most of the time get inspiration from their life, from their emotions, from whatever they experience around them. And there's one composer and saxophonist who lives in Australia. And he is surrounded by different animals. Now, actually, I should mention that I just came from Florida, which is contrast in season with Kansas. And one of the experience that we were having with my family was the drive-through safari. You could go right in your own car, stop by, say hi to different animals. Now the inspiration for playing this piece came from that experience. Because this piece is called Cuckoo, right? In African language, Swahili. Anyone speak here, Swahili? You'd be laughing, but actually I played it one time and then there was somebody, yeah, I speak Swahili. It means chicken. Okay, so I could trust that person with my life. Now, if we were to take the translation of cuckoo from Russian, right? I've seen crazy, yeah? We refer to a person who's a little bit crazy, maybe lost something inside of their head. Now, I like to combine both of these explanations. I have a very smart audience here. Crazy chicken who maybe lost its head and still running. But the most interesting part comes towards the end. Now the beginning is like a depiction of pastures, of the fields, and then something happens. So, hope you enjoy. Now we'll just need a few minutes to restart the stage to welcome Jesse on the stage, who will join us for some pizza. So feel free to grab some drinks, if I may. Invite everyone. So we'll see you in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you.